Today, I would like to continue the heading Human Male and Female Reproductive System with the subheading Menstrual Cycle. Let us have a look at the important characteristics of menstrual cycle, which occurs mainly in the human female. This cycle will be discussed in the following manners in point wise for the convenience of our students who can remember these all points very easily. Number 1. During their reproductive years, women experience monthly cycles of changes in their ovaries and uterus. The menstrual cycle is the periodically recurrent series of changes occurring in the uterus and the associated sex organs. Number 2. The human menstrual cycle averages 28 days in length, measured from beginning of menstruation. Number 3. These are actually two overlapping cycles that cover about 28 days, the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle. Number 4. The cycle begins at puberty. The ovarian and uterine cycles are collectively called menstrual cycle. Have a look at the ovarian cycle. The ovaries of adolescent and adult women alternate between the two phases, each lasting roughly 2 weeks. Days 1 through 14 are the follicular phase, which is initiated by the release of follicle stimulating hormone, that is FSH, from the anterior pituitary. During this phase, a primary oocyte begins the process of meiosis. While it is growing, the follicle secretes estrogen and a smaller quantity of progesterone into the blood. By day 14, a Graafian follicle has matured and pushed up against the ovary surface. The luteal phase begins at around day 14, when a surge in luteinizing hormone released by the anterior pituitary causes rupture of Graafian follicle and ovulation. A home test kit, Q-test, is available to detect this stage in luteinizing hormone concentration and predicts ovulation. After the follicle ruptures, it collapses and is transformed into a corpus luteum. Corpus luteum slowly increases in size and its cells release a large quantity of progesterone and a smaller amounts of estrogen into the blood. The progesterone acts on the endometrium of the uterus, preparing it to release a fertilized ovum. The ovarian cycle is under the control of the gonadotropic hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, and luteinizing hormone, that is LH. Have a look at the uterine cycle. The series of changes in the lining of uterus constitutes the uterine cycle. The effects of female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, on the endometrium of the uterus causes the uterus to undergo a series of events known as uterine cycle. The uterine cycle consists of 3 phases: the menstrual phase, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase. The menstrual phase occupies the first week of the uterine cycle. It follows the decline of the corpus luteum and the abrupt decline in the amounts of progesterone and the estrogen in the blood, and the discharge of menstrual flow follows. The first menstrual cycle after attaining puberty is called menarche. The entire uterine lining is shed in this fashion over a period of 5 to 7 days. Only a basal layer of endometrium remains for regeneration during the remainder of the uterine cycle. The proliferative phase occupies the second week of uterine cycle. During this time, a new follicle develops into the ovary, and the secretion of estrogen causes the endometrium to grow by means of mitosis. New epithelial cells, glands, and blood vessels are produced as the endometrium thickens. The secretory phase begins at the ovulation and coincides with the growth and decline of the corpus luteum in the ovary, thus occupying the last 2 weeks of the uterine cycle. The increased secretion of progesterone during the expansion of the corpus luteum causes more growth of endometrium, especially extension of blood vessels and enlargement of the uterine glands. The endometrium becomes thicker and spongy as it retains water, electrolytes, and glycogen in the preparation for nourishing an embryo. In the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum and its production of progesterone decline. The decline in progesterone initiates the menstrual phase and the entire uterine is repeated. In the next phase, we will discuss about the fertilization in him.
अगर आपको वीडियो अच्छी लगी हो तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लेना, साथ ही बेल आइकन पर प्रेस कर लेना, जिससे आने वाली वीडियो की नोटिफिकेशन आपको मिलती रहे। थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग दिस वीडियो।